Street Fighter Alpha 3 has been released on various home consoles from the late 80s to the mid 2000s. During that time, it's seen many changes from one port to another, with features and content added with each subsequent release. Now, I'm not going to debate which version is the best. There are too many things to take into account, and apparently no one could actually agree with everyone having their own preference. What I am going to do is review the accumulation of its many releases down to its final standalone release, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max on a PSP. This port plays just as well as any other. It's fast, fun, with everything intact. Unlike Third Strike and Super Turbo, Alpha 3 plays faster and requires a little more precision while introducing new mechanics and styles of play not found in previous entries. These styles of play are Xism, Aism, and Vism. Xism behaves much like Super Turbo, where the player is unable to air block and has access to only one super. The trade-off though is you get a longer guard bar and your attacks do more damage. Aism is the standard style where you have access to multiple supers, as well as determining how much meter you want to spend when performing these supers. Vism doesn't have a super. Instead, you could perform a custom combo where silhouettes will follow your character, adding additional hits to your attack. Other differences when picking your style of play is altering the character's moveset, basically changing them into a different fighter altogether. For example, Chun-Li's spinning bird kick was absent from the previous two Alpha games. But with Xism, she regains her old move as well as a new move, the double palm thrust. The downside though is that she will be missing her projectile as well as her vertical spin kick. Another character that's also seen the same treatment is Cammy. When using her in Vism, she has access to a dive kick as well as a counter move called Cannon Revenge. However, she will be missing her spinning knuckle as well as her hooligan combination. These changes in specials are throughout the roster and can change how you utilize and fight against each character. Much like the previous home releases of Street Fighter Alpha 3, the PSP port got a variety of different modes. Besides the typical arcade and training modes, this game has many ways to play. Everything like a survival mode to dramatic battles, where you can face up to two opponents at the same time. There's also an exclusive variable battle where you can swap between two characters mid-fight, much like the Marvel vs. series. But besides all that, the most important mode would be the World Tour. Here's where you can level up your character of choice through a series of fights, which could only be cleared in certain conditions. This usually involves opponents with altered stats, such as dishing out more damage, a regenerating health bar, or only taking damage from super attacks. By completing these challenges, you'll be able to unlock power-ups called Ism Plus. Basically, these power-ups alter how your character plays, such as giving them the ability to string basic attacks together, removing the guard bar, or increasing your super bar at a much faster pace. The combinations are endless. You can later add or remove these in the entry mode after completing the World Tour, allowing you to customize your fighter any way you want.
It all depends on your skill. Go for broke.
Controls, okay, I admit, I recorded this footage using my Brooks wireless arcade stick. I'm pretty sure some of you already seen the video where I demonstrated how this thing works on a PS Vita TV, and that's what I basically used to record this footage. So if you're using something like that, an arcade stick that works on a Vita TV, you're gonna be fine. It works perfectly. Arcade perfect, basically. However, for anyone else using a PSP, it's not going to be as simple. Don't get me wrong, there are enough buttons to play the game, but reaching over to press the appropriate shoulder button for the right attack is a little uncomfortable. I get flashbacks from when I was playing Street Fighter on Super Nintendo. It just doesn't feel quite right. However, if you give it some time, you can get used to this. The biggest issue though would probably be the D-pad. Now, It is well known that the PSP D-pad isn't exactly fighter friendly. It's a little bit stiff, and trying to pull off a dragon punch ain't particularly easy on this thing. More likely you're going to try to rely on an analog stick, which feels a little unusual and isn't really as effective as needed. There isn't really anything wrong programming wise. Capcom even included an option to make it easier to input commands, as well as increase the window it takes to register a particular button press. It's like they knew playing this on a portable was going to be a pain, and these options do help a little. Besides all that, if you're going to play this on a go, I suggest you download this onto the PS Vita. Although attacking with the shoulder buttons do remain, the D-pad is much better, but preferably I use the analog stick on a Vita. My attacks come out more frequently and it's easier to control. On a small screen, the game looks good. It's a little harder to see some of the finer details in the background, but that's to be expected on a portable. Playing this on a big screen though would make things seem a little off until you actually zoom in. Still, Alpha 3 Max is filled with vibrant colors and the characters really pop out. Each fighter's personality is shown in how well each is drawn and animated. This port's graphics appear to be intact with little to no alterations. The fact that Capcom was able to pull this off is amazing and really shows that the CPS2 artwork definitely stands the test of time. Now, I'm a little mixed on the music they selected. Not really a knock on this port, but the fact that they decided to give everyone a new theme was a little off-putting when I first heard it back in the day. Part of me was hoping that they would rearrange everyone's theme like they did in Alpha 2. Still, that's not to say that the new music is bad. Each melody captures the essence of who each fighter is, and the level of the instrumentation is deep. Still, the riff and tones are similar enough to the World Warriors Street Fighter 2 themes that they fit perfectly, though there are some that leave much to be desired. Sound effects are varied and deep. You can feel each hit that lands in this game, and when you hear the charged whine of an oncoming super, you know something big is about to happen. Voice samples are clear and unique too. The voice actors did a good job adding character to these fighters, and I personally like how our Mika came out. Now before I finish, I gotta talk about the added characters a bit. These are Yun, Maki, Ingrid, and Eagle. For the most part, they play just fine. They're very similar to their CVS2 appearance, and pulling off some of those dialogue combos that they had in that game does require a little bit more precision, so it's not as easy as it was back on CVS2. Another thing is the sprites they used. It's basically a copy and paste of what they had on CVS2 and make them look really out of place compared to the rest of the cast. Especially Yun, when I know for a fact that he's definitely not bigger than Chun-Li. Still, they play well, and they don't really have anything that could be considered game breaking as far as I can tell.
You win!
And there you have it, guys. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max on the PSP. Is this game worth it? Definitely. It's definitely worth it. I give this game an A. With the amount of content, the world tour, the various modes, all the characters not available in the arcade version, to me this is like the most complete version of Alpha 3 out there. My only gripe though is trying to find someone to play with. There's no online mode on this version of Alpha, and finding a challenge out there is going to be kind of tough. Not everyone's going to be walking around with a PSP or a PS Vita in their pockets. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hassle to go out of your way to find like a challenge out there. But regardless, it's still a fun game, and I definitely recommend it. You could find like an inbox copy of this game for around $25 to $30, like in a local mom and pop store. And you can also download it on your PS Vita, PlayStation TV, and PSP off the PlayStation Store for around $19.99. So keep that in mind if you want to play this version. Anyway, this was Knockout21. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And like always, have a good one. Take care, you guys.